Hey everybody, it's Neil with NeilSarap Barbecue. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making my version of a Filipino style Longanisa sausage. I'm going to be doing a step-by-step tutorial. What we're going to do is we're going to start out right now with the first phase. We're going to be slicing our meat. Today I have a little over 4.5 pound pork shoulder roast. The shoulder roast makes really good sausage because of the fat ratio. You want about 20 to 30% fat, so that's what this is going to give us. One of the first tips I can give you is when you're grinding and making sausage and stuffing sausage, the meat needs to be ice cold. It needs to be almost frozen. So what that does is that keeps the fat from melting and smearing. When that happens, it will actually separate and it won't bind to the meat. So part of the sausage making process is you need the fats and proteins to bind together in order to keep your sausages from becoming crumbly and falling apart. With that being said, what we need to do is we need to cut our meat down to fit our grinder, and you need to cut the meat small enough so that it fits easily down inside of the stuffer. You don't want to use the plunger to push down and force it. You want everything to go as natural as it can so it can actually cut instead of forcing it through the die. We're going to be using a large style die for our first cut. And this die is about 3/8 of an inch. That's going to give us a very coarse ground for our first cut. And then we're going to switch it over to a little bit smaller, but not too small. You want it to be a little bit more of a coarse sausage. The smaller you grind your sausage, it's the more firm the texture is going to be. So if you're making hot dogs or kielbasa and you want a more firmer texture, more solid meat, then you're going to grind it with a much smaller grind. If you want a nice chorizo or bratwurst style sausage, your standard pork Italian sausages, you're going to have a much larger grind to it. We're going to be using that grinder. Everything here, the grinder, the entire attachment, we're going to be taking this off and putting it in the freezer. Once I'm done cutting this meat will go in the stainless steel bowl. We'll cover it, and we're going to put that in the freezer for about a half an hour to 45 minutes. We want this to be nearly frozen when we start grinding it. We're going to make one pass to grind it, a first grind. We're going to put it back in the freezer to chill it off again. Then we're going to season it, mix it, and put it through one more time with all of our dry ingredients. Then we're gonna get our wet ingredients and mix it by hand for the rest of the way. We're only gonna be making about 4.5 pounds, so it's small enough of a batch that we can mix by hand. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get this cut up, and I'll skip ahead so that you don't have to watch everything. But like I say, we're gonna just go through this. So we're gonna get this cut up and broken down so that we can easily grind it. So we're just going to cut this down into strips as much as we can. Maybe about 1 inch thick is adequate enough. You can actually make these into long strips if you want. That kind of makes the feeding process easier, because once the auger grabs a hold of it, it's going to pull it through. So putting it into long strips also helps. So as long as you can drop it down, let the machine do the work, let the machine pull it through and cut it. We don't want to press it through. We don't want to smear the fats and the meats together. We want to be cut by the blades. So very important that your die and your blade inside are nice and sharp too. So, all right, we're back, and we have our cut up pork here. This grinder attachment is out of the freezer. It's icy cold, and we're just going to start dropping this pork down in the grinder. We're going to go ahead and get it going. This is miserably loud, so I'm going to go ahead and do this off tape, but I'll show you what we get on our first grind, and that's going to go right back in the freezer, and then we're going to come back and we're going to season it up. All right, we're all set, and we're gonna get this in the freezer. I'm gonna get all my spices and everything, all the liquids together, bring it out, we're gonna mix it, and then we're gonna run it through. That'll be our final grind, and we'll get it back in the freezer again to get it chilled before we go ahead and stuff it. All right, so we have our first grind here. We just pulled it out of the freezer. It was in there for about 45 minutes. It's just about frozen, very stiff here. We're gonna get it transferred over to this big mixing bowl. And then we're gonna add our dry ingredients. We're gonna do a final grind on it, the second grind, and then we're gonna add our wet ingredients. So let me go ahead and get that going here. What we're gonna add is our brown sugar. It's 1 cup of brown sugar. Just break that up. We're gonna add our garlic. There's 10 cloves of finely chopped garlic. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of my Dayum rub. My Dayum all-purpose seasoning. We're gonna add 15 grams of milk powder. 25 grams of sea salt. Kind of give it a little bit of a mix to and then also in that I have 2 grams of ascorbic acid, which is basically vitamin C. So that's the total of our dry ingredients. I'm going to get this mixed up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and grind it, or a final grind. We're going to use the same die plate, so we're just going to mix it up a little bit more. Once it comes back out, we're going to get back in the bowl, back in the freezer, chill it back down again, and then we're going to add our final wet ingredients. Okay, we have our final grind back out of the freezer. We're ready for our liquids now. I've had these in the refrigerator to chill down, so they're cool as well. The whole trick to sausage is keeping it cold, ice cold. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 tablespoons of soy, one-third of a cup of coconut vinegar, one and a half tablespoons of achiote oil, which is an annatto oil, annatto seed oil. And then 1/2 of a cup of ice cold water. All right, so basically get some gloves on, get in there and start mixing. It's going to be really cold, but you're going to mix for about, I would say, 8 to 10 minutes. Just keep mixing and folding, almost as if you're working a dough, and you're getting all the salts and everything else mixed, the fat and the meat, so it can actually start binding together. When I'm done mixing, it's going to get covered. You don't have to, but you could actually start stuffing it right away. We're going to go ahead and cover it. I would suggest letting it marinate for a couple of hours to overnight. I'm going to let this marinate overnight so that I can go ahead and get these stuffed in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and start getting this mixed, and we'll go from there. All right, you'll know when your mixing is done when you can take a small handful and it will stick to your hand. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna get this covered in the fridge. We'll see you when I get it ready. We'll fill up the stuffer, make sure we get all the air out of it. We'll feed it through some casings. All right, we're back. Now our sausage has time to rest. Just got it out of the fridge. It's been overnight. We're gonna go ahead and get our sausage stuffer packed, then we're gonna get to stuffing. I already have the casing loaded onto the horn. Now it's just a matter of getting our sausage loaded into the press. I'm just going to give it one final mix just to break it up. It's had time to bind it a little bit. All right, we're full to the top there. Let's get this loaded and in place. We're just going to tie a little knot on the end here. Here we have one, and we're gonna have to reload it up. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here, and I'm gonna get the rest of this rolled out. And then I'm going to show you how to link them. All right, so now that we have all of our sausages linked, it's about just under 5 pounds of sausage. We're gonna go ahead and link these up. We're gonna take the end that we tied off already. And what we wanna do is get our first link set. We're gonna give it a little pinch and twist it here. Then we're gonna skip one link, give it a pinch, and create a new link. And then we're going to spin this in this direction. We're then gonna skip one link, and then we're gonna spin it in the opposite direction. Same thing, skip and then spin it. So there we have all of our links. When we're done with that, we're gonna put these in a pan. I'm gonna put them on a tray, put them in the refrigerator and let them dry out for about a day. And that'll help also set them and get a little bit more firm. And then they're gonna be ready to cook, or you can seal them and freeze them and it'll be all set. So I'm going to show you how, on our next step, is how to traditionally prepare these, and then we'll show you how they're all plated up, and we're going to take a taste of these. All right, we're all set. We've got our plate cooked up here. We have some garlic fried rice in our longanisa. We have some tomatoes and eggs. This would be a traditional style Filipino breakfast here. This looks incredible. Let's go ahead and get into this. Looking delicious. Get a little bit of this yolk action here. A little bit of rice. Absolutely perfect. Loving everything about this. All right, I want to thank you all for watching to the end. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all your support. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like. That really helps me out. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.